with a senior U.S. Marine gunnery sergeant talking at Parris Island to a group of Marine recruits. SAMC Boot Camp Diary. Sir? Yes, sir. Chapter 1. Why me and why USMC? Why me? Greetings. My name is U.B. Nameless, United States Marine. But prior to becoming a U.S. Marine, I have been just U.B. Nameless civilian. I started this chapter with why me. I say why me because it was the end of my junior year in high school and I was planning to go to college. I had a few in mind, but I was looking at Trenton State. Reason being, my aunt and uncle lived within walking distance of the college. I was so young, and like many before me, I was scared of going out into that big place called the world. What if? I hope you all know the what ifs. It's the thoughts we all get when faced with the unknown. What if they do better than me? What if I am a failure? What if nothing works out? Better question, what if you don't try? I'm immature, I'm a young 17-year-old man looking at a crazy world. The cellular phone wasn't yet a consumer item, and pagers were looked at as devices for doctors. Looking back, I was a silly, immature young boy. I possess an above-average level of intelligence, but I was girl crazy. All I cared about was girls in AFX race cars. I had a close friend named Peaches, and we talked a lot on the teen line. I was a fairly popular school student. I, for the most part, stayed under the radar, but all the cool kids knew me, so I could be myself and not have to fit in. The immature part of me was that I secretly still played with toys. Most of all, model cars by Revell, and my friends would always say, "When are you going to grow up?" I used to feel embarrassed, but I would simply say, "What age do you grow up or act grown? Please tell me." To this day, I have not found a sufficient answer to that same age-old question. And the truth is, I'm still a bit silly. Cutting the lawn. My aunt and uncle lived in Ewing Township, New Jersey. Back then, if you live in Trenton, Ewing was like the Jeffersons when they were moving on up. My father didn't care much for my aunt and uncle, but I loved them and would visit quite often. My uncle knew I loved him, so he would ask me to cut the lawn once or twice a week. I would do it, most times for free, but I took many breaks to drink Mom's fruit juice. That woman could blend some juice. It was during one of my many visits as I was cutting the lawn and not moving at a brisk enough pace that my Uncle Junior said to me, "You, B, come here. Hurry up." I ran into the house.
The few, the proud, the Marines. Marine ads? A first glimpse. To this day, I will never forget his words. No, I took it as a challenge. You, B, you see them? That could never be you. 2 weeks. You couldn't last 2 weeks. You are not built for that. A man like you, or should I say a boy like you, needs a desk job. The challenge, I told my uncle, I'm going to join the Marines active duty. I'll show you. I'm a man. Chapter 2, the recruiting process. Finding a recruiter. I went home after my uncle cast the first stone. I had a good friend, A. Simpson, and he had signed a commitment to go Army. He talked to me about joining also. I told him I would check it out, but my uncle challenges me to join the Marines, not the Army. No disrespect to the United States Army, but I was going Marine Corps. I went to school, and on my way home, I stopped on State Street at the recruiting office in Trenton, across from Planned Parenthood. As I walked into the office, I saw staff. Squunt, G. Newman. Little did I know we would form a bond like glue. Super glue, okay. G. Newman. I'm new to this process, but G. Newman welcomed me in the office. I told him I wanted to become a U.S. Marine. He didn't ask me why, but rather he gave me a pre-test after I passed it. He asked me a few questions. I guess you are curious, so I'll tell you just a few. Ever been arrested? No, not yet. Ever used drugs? No. Am I 18 or older? No. All went well, but I was 17 and needed my parents to consent to my joining the Marine Corps. I went home and told my parents about my choice, and they fully supported it. I remember my father signing the waiver, and I was on to the next stage. The ASVAB, this is the Armed Forces Test. G. Newman scheduled test date for me. We drove to the building, and it was filled with people testing for the Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, and yes, the Marines. The test was in parts, and each was time. I did well, and G. Newman came and picked me up. He asked how I did, and I told him I aced it. The next week, I went to the recruiting office and was told I passed the tests for any branch of the military. I was told I didn't have any guarantee job in the Marines, but I was ready all the same. G. Newman and I. Now, at this point, I signed up to join the Marines and staff scored. Newman's job was done, but he would still come and pick me up. I met his family, and even though I was already signed up, rejecting contact and became friends, this relationship between recruiter and pulley is unusual, to say the least. Senior year. I'm now a senior. I'm going to accelerate this period in my life. My last year at TCHS was good. I spent most of that year getting into shape and getting my mind right for the next challenge in my life. School was fine, and for the first time in my life, I was in control of my future. The only thing standing in my way was boot camp. I was so excited to tell my uncle that I joined the Marines. He wasn't mean about it, he just upped to the story, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. Show a large graduation from high school as the kids toss their graduation caps in the air. Graduation from high school? Upon graduating from high school, I took the summer to relax for the hell of boot camp. I hung out a bit and would talk to my friend Harold Bolden. He went to Ewing High and had committed to join the Air Force. We both were to ship out on the same date. During the summer break, I met a young lady named S. West. We became very close. Don't worry, I'm not a guy that ego strokes or needs to lie on women. We were just friends. We had talked about being intimate, but had decided to wait until after boot camp. It was my intention to fill her full of Marine Corps green. Okay, we planned to have sex when I got back. My father's farewell. My dad was like a drill sergeant. He made a rule, and if you broke it, no matter the reason, you were punished. What was that? You need some examples. Every Saturday at 6 a.m., I had to be up helping with the car or some home repair. When the streetlights came on or it reached 8 p.m., I had to be in the house. Not bad, you say? I lived on a small dead-end street. Yes, Dad, no Dad, to everything. He knew how to get you angry, but you had better to deal with the emotion internally. It took going away to boot camp for my father to say the words. I love you. My father would drink a lot, but only on weekends. I was a young man, a teenager, but a man all the same, and my father and I didn't see eye to eye. To this day, I haven't forgotten the words. Going to boot camp. MEPS the day has finally come. G. Newman arrives at my house in Trenton and drives me to MEPS in downtown Philly. He was more nervous than I was. Trying to boost my confidence, I went along with my friend's suggestions, but I was in shape, young and blind to the ways of the world. In other words, I don't have a clue what I was in for. After the hour-plus drive, we arrived and staff skid. Newman checked me in and we said our goodbyes. Now, because this book was my written account of my Marine Corps boot camp experience, we had no more G. Newman interaction, but we stay friends long beyond boot camp. The physical after I checked in, I was immediately taken to medical. They did all that day, but my fear wasn't so much the drawing of blood. It was the anal checkup. The doctor had 13 of us in a room. Doctor, gentlemen, turn your toes inboard and spread your butt cheeks, and please cot when instructed to do so. Apparently, my butt looked tight and he didn't need to thrust his big hands in my virgin butt. Upon passing my physical, I was taken to a room to sign some forms. I remember the man in the room say, "If we steal anything, it's jail time for theft of government property." I was young and believed every word he said. Now, after the contracts were signed, came the swearing-in process. MEPS is a joint military movement center. I run into my good friend Harold from Ewing Township. We spoke for a little bit, and then we were separated and branched off by the military branches that we were designated to join. What came next? After about 4 hours of sleep, we were all instructed to get on the buses, and my bus was taking me to the Philadelphia airport, where I got on the plane headed to Atlanta, Georgia. On the plane ride, I was paired up with a guy named John. He was looking forward to being a third-generation U.S. Marine. John started buying alcohol while we were still in flight. I would guess a drunk doesn't like to drink alone, so he offered me a few drinks. I shudder to tell you this, but once we landed, I was a bit tipsy. Okay, I was drunk. We arrived in Atlanta and took a flight to South Carolina. I was still very drunk, but coherent. Once we reach South Carolina, we will all be ushered to a United States Marine Corps bus headed to Parris Island. Parris Island. The bus ride wasn't so long, but once we hit the main gates to Parris Island, a larger-than-life U.S. Marine came on the bus yelling, "You are now entering the United States Marine Corps training facility, Parris Island," and began collecting our newspapers and instructed us that there was a zero tolerance on talking. It is Paris, or Paris. Once the bus stopped, a group of Marines ran up to the boss yelling, "Get off the bus and stand on the world-famous yellow footprints." Have David standing off the U.S. Marines bus at Parris Island looking at the giant metal doors with a Marine Corps sign on the door? I was lost, cold, and so scared. If not out of fear, I think I would have crapped in my pants. We were taken into a classroom and given a lot of information for the next 18 to 24 hours. During that time, we had next to little to zero sleep. We were instructed to write a letter home, then we were taken to eat. That's right, it's not called just to eat. We were walking over to the chow hall. After our meal, we went to the showers. Funny enough, we were told the Marine Corps way to shower, then were given Marine Corps issued clothing and hygiene items, all packed in a green sea bag. We all carried out bags over to the squad bay and then walked over to the barbershop where we were given our Marine Corps issued ball heads. I remember not recognizing anyone that I once spoke to after the haircuts. It's funny how everybody looks the same once you're bald. I came on myself. We were all being housed in a barracks without things changed to our rack, a Marine Corps term for bed. We were told to go outside and line up in formation to march back to chow. We all were issued 3 covers. Hat, and someone in the haste took my cover, and I had to open my combination lock to get my other cover. The drill instructor was standing over me yelling, "We are waiting on you, move it, move it, move it." The stress of his yelling and my anxiety of not remembering the new combination lock code took my stress to an all-time high. I felt the sensation in my spine, and I just started to ejaculate in my clothes. I was so angry I just slowed down and put on my cover after opening that lock, and I took my sticky self to chow. The barracks we were staying in housed a lot of Marines, but our room held 76 of us recruits. After a few days, I thought this was boot camp. I remember saying to myself, this is going to be easy, piece of cake. I remember a few of us talking, and the main theme of the conversation was, did anyone take a dump? No one did. Now, thinking back, I attribute that to nervous reactions to the stress of boot camp as being the primary factor. Chapter 4. Receiving Day. Drill Instructor Pickup. We were all at morning chow, and after our meal, we were headed back to the receiving barracks. Once we arrived, we were told to meet our new drill instructors. Drill Instructor SGT, Bailey, Drill Instructor SGT, Potter, and Senior Drill Instructor Gunnery SGT, Major. Each drill instructor took a moment to say a little something, and once the senior drill instructor was done, he walked away, and the other two drill instructors went crazy. On your feet, get your trash, and move it. I was in shock. I thought up until that moment I was in boot camp. Guess I'm about to get a rude awakening. All 76 of us went outside in a 4-man formation and went to 3rd Battalion 1 Company. Honest, Twund, 3rd Battalion. Parris Island is one island off the coast of South Carolina. It is connected to the mainland by one bridge that is constantly guarded to the teeth. I was told that a few recruits went under the bridge and crawled to the mainland, but once they reached the townspeople were looking for what we call deserters. First clear side of the Chrome Dome, the bald head haircut. I was told the island was surrounded by shark-infested waters with alligators. If you made it that far, you still would have to look out for the quicksand. The recruit training area was set up into 3 distinct locations: 1st Battalion, 2nd Battalion, and 3rd Battalion. 1st and 2nd Battalion is located on what we call main side. The Jenna's office was also located in that area. Notwithstanding, the hostess house and many people would be in that area, but the battalion was far out of sight, and that's where the drill instructors could inflict the most pain and played the most games. I will get back to that in the next few chapters. It was just my luck that I was sent to 3rd Battalion, far away from main side, and boy did we play Marine Corps games. Approaching Chapter 5, but that's where the fun begins.
Chapter 5. Platoon 3093 starts. Over 3rd Battalion, we arrived at the barracks and are told we are platoon series number 3093. The drill instructors are firm and require precision in everything we do. It's late, and we were about to hit the rack's bed, so I'll write a bit more later on. The next morning at 5:30, we, the group platoon series 3093, are awakened to the sound of trash cans being tossed down the walkway. We all jump out of bed and are told to stand on the yellow line in front of the racks. Drill instructor SGT Bailey walks down the center of the squad bay, telling us what's next and informing us of what is expected of us as recruits. We are called recruits until we graduate and earn the right to be called Marines. I remember counting the mosquito bites, and God knows how I felt the sting of a few sand fleas. Drill on the tarmac. Let me try to paint this picture. 3rd Battalion is like a circle of buildings in the center of a huge pain drill field. The pain barrier is the place we're going to learn to march. We drill to become one unit. So after chow morning breakfast, we went out on the drill tar mat and drill instructor skied. Bailey started showing us the basics of drill. I would have to say we are learning to drill okay, but the discipline is not there yet. The drill instructors told us we can't move or talk without permission. I rarely spoke, but it didn't keep some crazy guys from talking or flinching when getting bitten by mosquitoes or those pesky sand fleas. Flashback. One morning, we were standing outside the chow hall, waiting to march back to the barracks, and a few of us were fending off the mosquitoes. Drill instructor SGT, Bailey said, "Didn't you just eat?" "Sir, yes sir, you are their food, then let them eat." It wasn't funny at that moment, but now looking back it was quite a laugh. First phase coming to a close after today. We shift from first phase to the second phase. Up to this moment, boot camp has been pure hell. Many more things that happen, I just omitted from this book. We do have a recruit that just does not belong here at Parris Island. His name is Recruit Reed. He is small in size and can't do anything right. We'll get back to him later in the book. Or maybe not. Call for medical recruit name Les. Report to drill instructor Skeet Bailey as ordered. Aye, sir. I recruits. I ran up to the drill instructor and reported as told. He instructed me to go to medical. I didn't understand why, but it wasn't my place to question. For the first time since arriving at Parris Island, I was walking outside the barracks alone. I went to the medical building and reported to the medical staff as instructed. A doctor came to me and informed me that I had sickle cell trait. Not full-blown sickle cell, mind you.
I took this sheet with the information and went back to the barracks. As soon as I arrived, the drill instructor said, "Name Les. What planet are you from?" "Sir, I'm from planet Earth, sir." He said, "No, you are not what your paper says you are, alien. So we don't allow aliens in my Marine Corps." He was joking, but he looked pretty serious to me. With that, I conclude Phase 1. We did so much more crazy antics, but most of the time was spent on physical training such as push-ups, jumping jacks, and the dreaded mountain climbers. Oh, and legless. I would say we spent about 10% of our day in the sand pit. I'll tell you a bit more about that in Phase 2. Second phase, 1 heel. Now we are drilling every day, and I must say, Platoon 3093 is 1 heel. When all 76 of us march, all you can hear is 1 heel. Now we are still going to the sandpit. I need to fully explain the sandpit to you. The sandpit. The sandpit is close to a pool-size area. It is surrounded by beach-type sand, but is not a place to relax. Quite the contrary. It's no vacation. 3rd Battalion has many sandpits, and Platoon 3093 is the primary visitor. I remember one god-awful day we truly pissed off the drill instructor. We just wouldn't follow the rules. So one morning after a so-called 3-mile run, we were instructed to go in today's squad bay. On our way up the stairs, someone bumped into drill instructor, Skit Bailey. Oh hell, get your blankets and meet me in the sandpit. I had no idea what was next to come. He instructed us to wet our blankets. Okay, did that. Then we lined up information I was instructed to turn face to face with the person in the next rank next to. Now, start waving your blankets at the person in front of you. The key was to move your wet blanket faster than the next person. After about 5 minutes, we were all covered with sand. I could hardly breathe with the amount of cake-up sand I had in my nose. Meet my M16, every Marine is a basic rifleman, so we all have to become familiar with our rifle. We're now second phase. We pretty much have the drill thing down pat. We still go to the sandpit daily. However, on this day we will march to the armory to check out our weapons. Here's the deal. We will soon become one without a rifle. Bikini underwear. You heard me correctly. Once a day, we have mail call. I don't have a true girlfriend, but I'm talking to 2 girls. S. West mailed me a box filled with 8 men's bikini underwear. I am in trouble with a capital T. You see, all mail must be opened in the presence of a drill instructor. I think you can follow the gist of my point. Once I open that box, Jesus H. Christ. I don't believe my eyes. Platoon 3093, attention. Sweet Susie Rotten Crotch as male recruit named Les Abbas, filled with men's bikini underwear. He turned to me and said, "From this day forth, your name is no longer recruit named Les, but rather recruit underwear. And when I call any recruit to my quarterdeck, recruit named Les, just join them." My true hell started right at that moment. Every time someone got in trouble, I was also punished. The quarterdeck is a place where they make you PT, physical training, indoors. Trust me, I was up on that quarterdeck all the time. A group of Marines out in field training. The term pogbait is used to classify a non-military meal such as snacks, cookies, chips. We will be going out in the field in a few weeks to experience what it's like in a simulated combat environment. This was funny. We, as in Platoon 3093, are used to allowing weapons, and we are graded on how fast you can break down and assemble our rifles. I was very good with that process, but one day we are marching in the cold and my hands are frozen. The drill instructors ordered us to break down our weapons and my hands were frozen stiff, but I was able to do it because I used my teeth. I didn't remember to tell you. Back in first phase, we have to take the ASVAB test over again. Best to ensure the recruiters are not having people test for you. Back in trouble again, I was summoned to the mail area, and I had another box. Hell, what now? My close friend Tracy L. sends me 12 donuts. The drill instructor turned to everyone and said, "Recruit Underwear has 12 delicious jelly-filled donuts. What's the rule? 3093. If you get anything, it must be enough for all, or you must eat them all on your own." The drill instructor made everyone do push-ups as I ate the donuts and drank 1 canteen filled with water. I ate to more and was told to drink another canteen of water. I told my drill instructor I was full. His reply was, "Eat." I attempted to eat another donut, but my stomach was churning and I couldn't hold it in anymore. I started projectile vomiting and the second drill instructor eskied. Potter went berserk. He was shouting in the sandpit, in the sand itself. That didn't make me very popular with the rest of the recruits. Rappelling and the obstacle course. The next morning we marched over to the obstacle course. Let me describe this event. It's a series of challenges designed to slow you down. Things to swing, jump over, climb, and navigate over and through. I excelled in this area. Then came the rappel tower. This was a 12-story tall tower. Okay, it's more like 4 or 5, but it's tall. We climbed up the tower to the top and were given instructions on what to do, and I was first to go. "Sir? Yes, sir?" I didn't flinch to take on the challenge. The guys don't have much love for me, but they respect my leadership ability and my fearlessness. Fart private. This was just silly. In our living quarters, it was set up as left side and right side, starboard side and port side. If you didn't know, the Marines fall under the Department of the Navy, but it's only in nautical terms, not personal. One day, as we were all lined up in formation for drill inspection, Skid Bailey, he farted and said, "Recruit Reed, front and center." "Sir." "Yes, sir." When Recruit Reed reported to the drill instructor, he told Reed, "You are my fart private. When I fart, you come running behind me and suck out the smell and go out the rear hatch, back door, and blow out the smell. Got that?" "Sir, yes, sir." The field. Here we go. We have another challenge. This time, we are going out in the field for war games. We have been saving Pogbait for weeks in a footlocker. It's full of snacks and Oreo cookies. The DIs told one of the recruits to open the footlocker, and when he did, the bottom fell out and footlocker was half empty. The drill instructor went crazy. Who eat the Pogbait? He off telling if we didn't confess, we would pay a price worse than death, but no one said a word or would admit guilt. We must have gone to the sandpit like 20 times. No one ever said a word, but I was the culprit. I was on fire watch a few times and I found a small hole in the footlocker and made it a big hole. I did like any Marine would do. I overcame and adapted to my environment. I wanted to say, "Sir, it was I recruit named Les," but it wouldn't have helped, as in helped me. Combat and field ready. We are out in the field and immediately 2 things happened to me right off the bat. Honest. Tracy's mom had made some cookies for me. It wasn't any cookies. It was the world's best cookies. I'm not kidding, Linda L. at that time made the world's best cookies. I told the drill instructor, "Those are my cookies," and he just tossed the tin over to another area and the recruits eat them on the spot. Not to mention I didn't get one. Yep, not even one snickerdoodle. Damn. Twund, if not to add insult to injury, my mother, bless her heart, sends me 3 cans of Cutter insect repellent. I was called to the front, and Scott Bailey took the cans and sprayed all of platoon 3093. Can I tell you, I never saw the spray cans again. No cookies and no bug spray. Damn it to hell. War games back when I went in the Corps, the battle simulations were simulated with live ammo, live rounds. If they told you to stay low and crawl, you had best to follow orders. Mission accomplished. The next day was Puggle Sticks. For some strange reason, I was very good at it. 2 enter the ring, 1 exit victorious. I was so good. I even went up against 2 of the best from platoon 3091 and beat them. The last 2 days were more night and day combat simulation. On the last day prior to our force march back to the 3rd Battalion, we went to the gas chamber. That's some intense stuff. They had us all stand at attention and told us that as Marines, we could be subject to chemical warfare. We marched into a small room and pulled out our gas mask. Don and clear your mask. Then they burst the CS gas and told us all to remove our gas mask. Take a deep breath and put back on the mask as instructed. Most of us did it correctly, but 1 or 2 recruits didn't get the masks on correctly and panicked. Once the door opened, we came rushing out the small room into the sunlight and fresh air. I have seen snot run from my nose to the ground. I'm told, if you have a cold, it's all gone after 1 trip to the gas chamber.
The swimming pool. It's not a lot of dark green Marines. Black Marines. And you know the deal. Black men, black people on a whole, can't swim. It's just not in our DNA. Don't get mad, black people. It's not that all black people can't swim, but it's just that most can't. I was no exception to the rule. We stood at the edge of the pool to receive instruction. We are told to jump in the pool in full uniform, and if you can't swim, a pole will be placed in the water. Grab it with 1 hand. If you use 2, the instructor will let it go. Name Les, go. I jumped into the deep end without question, and was about to drown when the pole was placed in the water to save me. Thanks, Marine Corps. The parade deck changed. We started marching back to 3rd Battalion, and as soon as we reached the parade deck, our one heel sound went out of sequence. The DIs went mad. We couldn't understand what went wrong. But after a few days, we found our rhythm. The problem was that the parade deck was repaved, and we marched to sound, not timing. After a few trips to the sandpit, I was ready to go back and drill. Get ready. We are about to exit Phase 2 and start Phase 3. But let's do the rifle range.
Chapter 7. The Rifle Range. Heading to the rifle range, I have never shot a gun or rifle in my life. But let's see how it goes. We marched to the rifle range at 7:0. We received basic range conduct instruction and then loaded our weapons. Now comes the problem. To shoot a rifle accurately, you must learn how to set the elevation and windage. Left and right, up and down. I'm using an M16A2. You have to use a nail. I rather just move the weapon rather than set the sights. Shooters, ready on the right, ready on the left. I'm shooting on target 23, but I'm afraid of the weapon recoil, so I close my eyes and shoot, but I'm shooting on target 24. Cease fire, cease fire. Shooter 23, you are shooting on target 24. Skip Bailey was angry. He slumped over and pulled out the nail and pushed it in my nose until he drew blood. I didn't flinch. He whispered something in my ear, and after 2 days, I was a marksman. Public notice. Every Marine must qualify on the rifle and some also the pistol range every year. When you shoot in the morning, it's less wind. This was a short chapter, but it addressed what was needed. Oh my, how could I forget? Cleaning weapons is a mother F%. When you use a rifle, it must be cleaned, spotless. If 60 plus of us, check out weapons. The armor will not take back the weapons unless all 60 plus is spotless. Hell, black gunpowder and soot are every place, but we clean and clean again until we get it right. Chapter 8. 3rd Phase and Graduation 3rd Phase Giants. 3rd Phase is a big deal. If you survive 3rd Phase, you are officially a U.S. Marine. Basic Marine, We have to send letters to family and tell them about the hostess house, base motel, lodging. But we need to have drill inspection. Inspection hut. We had a big inspection on the parade deck, and we drilled, and while standing at attention, a high-ranking commissioned officer came to inspect us. The officer would step in your face and ask you a few questions about Marine Corps' history or weapons. That part is easy. It's the rifle inspection that could be an issue. Please allow me to paint a verbal picture for you. We stand single file information, and the inspectors step in front of you, and as a Marine, you are taught to steer through a person. The rifle movement is several steps. The rifle is on your side, and you are to raise the rifle and make several movements, ending in presenting the weapon to the inspector, not letting go until he has snatched the weapon out of your hands. When the inspector came up to me, I raised the rifle, and the front sights hit the inspector in the face, bursting his nose, and instantly blood started streaming down his face. I wanted to stop the rifle presentation, but I kept going, ignoring his bloody face. He looked furious, but I continued on up until the rifle presentation of arms. He asked me a few questions. I answered his questions with crisp and confident answers. He inspected my weapon and returned it to me. I grabbed the rifle with a hard slap to the handguard, and in my exuberance, I knocked the handguards clean off the rifle and continued the rifle present arms until conclusion, resting the weapon at my side. The inspector broke protocol and said, "This is a hard charger. A Marine. God damn it. Make my dick hard, Marine. This is what a Marine is made of. Carry on, Marine. Carry on." I heard him, but I showed no emotion. My day at dental, I had 2 wisdom teeth that were giving me problems, so I was sent to dental. I was driven in a van with a female recruit. I was so programmed, I wouldn't even look at her. I went to dental, and they removed my 2 wisdom teeth and gave me some gauze and a notification letter informing the DI that I was to have 24 bed rest and put on light duty. I walked into the squad bay and gave the DI my light duty slip. He read it and then tore it up and told me to go out into formation. "We have drill." "Sir?" "Yes, sir." The recruits, I didn't truly address the recruits. We started out as 76, and now we number only 43. Most of us are basic, but a few stood out. Recruit Absher. He had a way of saying "yes, sir." Sound like an old school butler. John M. is another standout. He had torn an anterior cruciate muscle in his leg back in honest phase, but he never quit. Even when the DIs would tell him to give up, he just kept saying, "Never surrender, sir."
We had long runs, and Martine made everyone. 2.5 pounds will kick your ass. This is just cruel. We were in the squad bay writing letters and so on when I had to make a head call. Use the bathroom. The drill instructors slept in a room in the squad bay. It was a thick glass room with a thick door. At the doorway, it had a set of yellow footprints. There was a big red and yellow plank-like thing on the wall beside the door. The idea was that you had to stand on the yellow footprints and use your right hand and beat on the wooden plank on the wall 3 times. I ran up and hit the plank 3 times. "Sir, recruit nameless requests right, Sir Drill Mother, sir." The DI said, "I can't hear you. Do it again thing." I hit it with all my might, and on the 3rd and final whack at the wooden plank, I call it a plank on the wall, I hit it so hard I smashed it into 3 pieces. The DI shouted, "You broke it, girl. Another moment when I will overcome my fear." It was at that moment I knew I could be a Marine. Final drill. Platoon 3093. Attention. Final phase drill. We are ready. We go out on the tarmac and we do the damn thing. But we came in 2nd place. I don't remember a dry eye in the house or in the building. To become a Marine, it's taken a lot, but every Marine must take and pass a basic combat-ready PFT. Physical fitness test. This consists of a max of 20 pull-ups, 80 sit-ups in 2 minutes, and you must run 3 miles in less than 18 minutes. I took the PFT, and my final score was 300 out of a possible 300.
Parris Island Marine Corps Base. Recruits are marching infant to family for the final march to become a Marine. Platoon 3093 march past the bleachers and turn eyes right to the family in the bleachers. My family is here. The day has come. I am ready to be called U.S. Marine. We get dressed and checked and rechecked our uniforms to uphold the highest standards of a Marine. Once that was done, we went to graduation, and nothing was more fulfilling to me than to march past the bleachers and receive the order. Eyes right. At that moment, I turned my head and could see my mother and baby brother. Platoon, attention. Platoon 3093, disperse. You are now and forever United States Marines. I remember reflecting on the words my Uncle Junior who once said, "You will never make it. 2 weeks, 2 weeks." It's funny because after 2 weeks I did try to get out, but my mother refused to pay me any attention. It's life, I would have to say. Goodbye from Parris Island. I have secured a ride back to Jersey. My friend Mark Wright's family will give me a ride back. I am overcome with joy and pride to return home as U.B. Nameless. United States Marine, URA signed, PFC, nameless.
Chapter 9. My Reflections. Yet another book. First and foremost, many more events happened in boot camp. Becoming a Marine can't be captured on paper or in print. It's done in the classroom and forged on the field of battle. I continued my Marine Corps journey spanning the globe. That young, immature kid from Trenton was transformed from a boy to a Marine. Why did I write this book? Truthfully, I don't choose the next book to write. The book chooses me. I was waiting for the next book and bam. The idea to write a book, based on my boot camp experience, was the USMC best. I can't say if the Marines were best for me or anyone, but during my time as an active duty, I went to many other military bases and found that Marines are most feared, but we live with less. For young you, be named Les, becoming a US Marine was required. Also, my friend Harold Bolden, who joined the Air Force, it just so happened that his training was 6 or 8 weeks, and he was back home way before I graduated. He made it a point to send me letters and photos of all the girls he was dating. I was a bit jealous, but time quickly passed. About Sherry's W after boot camp, I came home, but I was so upset about the underwear thing, so I just never talked to her again. The journey. Life is a journey, and trust me, I had many more highs and lows to overcome. But for 3 months, I was recruit, nameless. I achieved what most said was the impossible. I earned the right to be a United States Marine. I kept in contact with Staff Chatin George N. I went around the world and seen so many people and places. This wasn't a short book. This was a snapshot of my past.